All right, we got the truck into the garage, so now we can get it jacked up. Got everything moved out to the lawn shed. Say hi, Kyle.
Hi.
He helped me move everything around. He lives down the street, so I got a buddy close by now. So now we can get it jacked up and start pulling the transmission. I'm going to go ahead and pull the drive line, including the carrier bearing, so that I can go ahead and order the carrier bearing and the universal bearings and go ahead and replace the clutch meanwhile I'm doing all of this. Me and the wife have decided that now that it's up in the garage and we get all that stuff pulled apart, we're going to go ahead and pull the bed and start preparing to cut stuff and measure stuff, and probably end up doing the front end first is what I'm thinking, because I don't have the money to buy the 2x4 steel that I'm going to need for the whole back section that I'm going to do. I have a really cool idea, but I can't let it out. I mean, you guys obviously know why. It's, you know, it's going to be my idea, and I want to try to get it done before somebody else has the time and the money to do it before I can. So, yeah, the whole rear end, I did tell you guys at one point I'm going to do the reverse 4-link. Yes, I'm still doing reverse 4-link, but it's how I'm doing it. I can't elaborate more than that. So that's going to get done, and that's how we're going to do this. I'll probably, like I said, I'll bag the front end first, which I've already sorted out a lot of the stuff. See, I've got the 4 bags there. I've got the compressors there, the headlights and that, and I've got valves and all kinds of other stuff over here. So this video is not done. We're gonna just hang on, and we'll see you guys after we get it lifted up, and probably gonna do a little bit more tomorrow. It's Saturday, so I have all day Sunday to be able to get this done. And oh, happy Halloween, everybody. Go out and scare some kids and steal their candy. All right, we'll see you guys after a little while. All right, we are under here, underneath the truck. Sorry we didn't show you. We had problems with some bolts up top, on top of the motor. We're getting all the bolts out of the transmission. We've pretty much got all those out of there already. And then we've already got the transmission bolts on this side loosened up on the cross member. So that's done. We got the drive shaft taken out, which the drive shaft, you've got a universal at the front, you've got your carrier bearing in the center, and then all the way at the back, you've got the, where's my finger at? Oh, there it is. Don't tell them where my finger is. It's back there at the rear axle. So there's 4 bolts on the rear axle. You got, what were those, 14s?
14 millimeters.
14 millimeter for 4 bolts on the rear. I used, what the hell did I use?
I
don't even know.
Right there by your leg.
I can't see it. I think it might be the same thing.
17 millimeters.
17 millimeter, 2 bolts on the carrier, which is that right there. And then we were able to get the drive shaft out. So far, there hasn't been really much of nothing pouring out of the back of the transmission, but it's because, well, it also uses 90 weight, and it's cold outside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it just uses straight up gear oil in these, which is nice. So I'm going to go ahead and put a catch right here. Oh, yeah, we had to pull the starter out. There's like, what is it, 3 different size bolts, 4 different size bolts on the transmission?
Yeah, we got 14s, 4 14s on the bottom.
Right.
2, 3, 4, 5 17 millimeters. And then the 18 millimeter.
That big one on the side, on this side.
Big bastard up
Was
there.
that 18? Yeah. And the back side of that 18 was, I think it was a
17, it looks like.
17, or was it 14?
It looks like the same size as them there. I think it's 17.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
So the nut's an 18, the bolt's 17.
Okay. So we've got all that out. We got that done. Now we just got to work on the cross member and picking up the transmission, which, who remembers this thing? Anybody? Anybody? Yeah, we put another jack in it on the side, and it's still got the original jack that I had on it. This is my transmission jack that I built. It sits on a creeper, and basically you've got one right here in the center on the bottom that lifts the swing arm, and then you've got the other one that crosses, that holds this, that actually causes the tilt. So that way when you jack it up, it's level, and you can adjust it to the bottom of the transmission. And then when you drop it down, it actually drops the bell housing farther down in the front so you can clear everything to get it out of there. This didn't cost me nothing but time instead of having to buy one. Now, they're not expensive, but at the time I was all wanting to build stuff, and seemed like I had more time in my life doing this, but I don't have time. I can't even talk right now. So I was mad about that. The top ones, for some reason, when I put it in last time, I put the bolts way too tight on the transmission into the engine. We had so much trouble breaking them out. We ended up having to use a cheater bar and a special wrench that he had. Where's your wrench at? This wrench is like, it's like a $15 wrench, but it worked exactly for getting them out because we had to have it bent like this in order. Flipped over. Yeah, and that was on the one side. That was on the passenger side or the driver's side to be able to get that out of there. And then he'd take this apart, flip it over so that we could do the passenger side. And we got it was 4 of them, right?
Yeah.
It was 4 of them on top, or 6. It made it.
There's 2, and then down there's 2 more.
So 6.
And then there was the 2, 1, 2.
Oh,
3,
the 1,
4, and then there's that one more 17 that's just about the right level with the header.
Okay. Yeah. So it was, I don't know what the hell I did. I know I didn't put any anti-seize in it. That was probably one of the things that would have made it easier to get those off of there. So now I don't know. I guess we're gonna like take a break because it's like, I mean, you ever get to a point where like you finally got it all achieved, and you're like the next step, but you want to sit and just kind of relax and enjoy the moment.
The victor. I
mean, we're talking about the transmission, right? Okay. Okay. But all right, so that's how you take all that off, and now we just got to work on getting the transmission out of there. And, yeah, so we'll talk to you guys in a little while. All right, now you got to pull the stick shift out. Now we're going to, be like the big professional guys that have the TV shows, and we've got it all prepped now because we didn't want to break it. So what you do is, you know, whatever shift knob you have, you pull that shift knob out and just throw it over there. For real? The fuck you? Excuse my language. Why you gotta go over there? Hey, you land up with 6s up. Anyway, so you pull that off and then you pull this off. Okay, now this has a little lip that goes into your boot, and then you can pull this off. All right. So this pulls off, and then throw that over there and make sure it doesn't fall out of the truck. Then you have this boot. Well, this boot normally doesn't come out with it. So what you would do is, if it's not ripped, mine's ripped, and it attaches, it's supposed to attach to the bottom right here. So you're not going to pull this out very easily if it's still attached. If it's still attached, don't rip it out. Just carefully pull this lip up and out and pull them to the side. That way you can get in there. I'll go ahead and pull mine out because mine's broke. But that way you can get in there to the 3 bolts that are all the way around it. 1, 2, and there's one on the other side. I didn't look. I believe they're 10 millimeter. And then once you get that off, what you're going to do is you're going to give this a gentle pull, because you're going to pull this out. You might take a little wedge and put it on the side right there and kind of wedge it up a little bit. But what you're trying to do, this is the most important part, is you're desperately, excuse me, something just came out of my throat. You're desperately trying to not break that ring that's right there. That is plastic. You break that plastic piece and your stick shift will just sit there and wobble. You can still shift, but it'll sit and wobble. So don't break that piece. When you put it back in, you absolutely need to have this lined up to that. And you're going to line it up with that pin that sticks in right there on the back side. It has to all line up, and it should go in nice and easy and slide right down in there. Okay, I believe, yeah, there's another plastic piece right inside here. I don't know if you can see that. That's a little harder. That plastic ring on the outside edge right there, that's also plastic. You break either one of those, and last time I tried to look for one, they're hard. You might be able to find them now easier, but those are very delicate pieces that you don't want to break. Now, we've got this out of here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a ball of paper towels, and I'm just going to stick them in that hole. I took too many paper towels. I thought the hole was bigger. There. There. That way you don't get no dirt from underneath the truck in there. When you slide your drive shaft out, this is another thing you want to think about, is there is oil in there and it will drip out of there slowly. So put a tub underneath there. Oh, I almost dropped you guys. Put a tub underneath there so that the drips will get out of it and not onto your shop floor like that. Okay. So we're going to work on this a little bit more now. All right. You want to look at a contraption and a half? There you go. This is the transmission jack at its full potential. That jacks up those. That keeps it level to the bottom of the transmission. And then you throw a strap around it. Now we got to do is jack it up just a little bit more, and then we'll be able to roll it back and forward and get it dropped back down and out of here so we can get it out. Hell yes. One last thing I wanted to say before we try to pull this transmission is get you a rope, chain, or something and secure your engine forward just a hair. That way when you pull that transmission, it doesn't fall back. When it falls back, it puts everything into a bind and it becomes even harder and harder. Also, if you don't have new engine mounts and they're old, the rubbers are going to end up ripping and it can mess them up too. And then you'll have to buy new engine mounts. So things to think about. All right here at the back of the transmission, there's two wires hanging right here. Those ones unclip from the wiring. Then it goes up and over the top of the transmission. And there's a sensor on the other side. And there's two like little bullet connectors. You unclip those. And then there's some clips and whatnot holding it on there. And what it does is it comes up and over here to the passenger side and connects in with the harness that goes to your starter. So you got to get that off of there before you drop that transmission out. But then you work it and work it, finagle it, and get it all the way down and it's out. So now I can get to the back side of the oil pan. I am going to end up changing the clutch on this. I am going to change the universal bearings. I am going to do the carrier bearing on this before I put any of this back together. And the rear, I may not even put it back together because I'm also, before I put this back down on the ground, I'm going to go ahead and start getting it bagged. But the main thing is to get the engine put back together. So then that way I can get it started and make sure that the oil is going to flow the way it's supposed to flow. That way I don't run into the problem with the motor. Because if that don't work and something even major is wrong with that, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up putting the suspension together. I'm going to bag this the way I want to. And hopefully next year sometime, I'm just going to buy a new motor. A new rebuilt motor. They sell them over close by Dallas. I can just drive out there. I can pull this one out of here, strip it off, everything I need off of it, put it on the flatbed, and take it out to Dallas and direct swap it. Because I think they got like a $300 core charge for them as well. So I can just pull this out of here and throw it on top. With the transmission already out of there, you know, it won't be hard to go the rest of the way to just pull it out. So there it is. That's how you pull a transmission on a Mazda B2200. Pretty much, I think your Toyotas are going to be very similar. Your older Nissans are going to be very similar. Your older Toyota pickup trucks, your old Rangers. I mean, most transmissions, this is really close to what it's going to be on a manual transmission. The automatics, you're going to have the coolant lines and fluid to deal with on those, and several more sensors. The newer it gets, there's going to be even more wires and more sensors on those, and it just becomes a pain in the ass. Also on the automatics, you're going to have a shift linkage that's going to be connected to it as well. Sometimes your cross member doesn't have to come out. You can just lift it up and pull it back, because that's another thing we did do on this. There's 4 bolts to pull your cross member out, and then you have to deal with the emergency brake cable. That's another thing we didn't really show. It was just another pain in the ass thing. It's been an all-day process, but we were victors, right?
Oh yeah,
we freaking made it. And we got it out of there. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. There's going to be more videos coming up here pretty soon. Hell, it's cool outside, so us fat guys don't sweat, and it's so much better being out here like that. And leave comments at the bottom, thumbs up, always, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Go pull your transmission.